What's going on, everyone? In today's video, Victor Gallegos and I are going to show you how you can find college books on Amazon using BookMine. These could be college books that you can buy in the off season when they get really low in price and then sell during the January and August textbook seasons. But before we dive into that, I'm joined by my good friend Victor Gallegos. What's going on, man?
Hey, Joji. Really excited about college books. I would say that BookMine really specializes in college books, and so I'm really excited that we're on this topic today.
Absolutely. So we're going to dive into the screen. Let's go. All right, Victor. So we're over here on the BookMine dashboard. Now, if we're going to specifically focus on college books, we actually have over here on the top right under book type, we have a few different categories, one of them being college. The first thing that you'd want to do here is just click the college tab so that we can only look at college books. And if we're looking at the keeper graph, because we have a 1 year snapshot here, Victor, what is kind of a telltale sign that we are actually looking at a college book?
Pretty easy. A college book both spikes in January and in August. So when we're looking at college books, you should easily see kind of a hump in January and then another hump in August. And in this particular example right here, you can definitely see that. Lots of demand in August and September, and then in January, lots of demand again. And then the rest of the season, not really so much.
Yeah. So you can see how low the sales rank in August, September gets. It gets down in like the 20,000s. January and February gets in the 30,000s. And then you can see otherwise, that sales rank is getting up there in the high 800,000s, even up to a million. So one thing as well is if you can expand and look at these books and see, okay, wow, this is a pattern that, a lot of these books fall every single year. What other indication is there besides just the price usually going up and the sales rank going down? What else can you see here on the bottom keeper graph right here?
It's the same thing. You'll see that the used offer count also drops both in August and in January. So when
Right.
you're seeing that, you know you have a college textbook. And what I really like about this particular book, which we just kind of ran into, is the pattern just kept on happening each year, year
Right.
after year. And these are the type of books that you feel pretty safe buying because it's done it for the last like 10 years. Why wouldn't you do it again?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So in this case, this is a book that did show up on BookMine. It does have a score of 4. So just so that you all remember, if you're using BookMine score of 4 is a book that just barely made it onto BookMine. Generally, what it means is that its price is probably close. So under Gold Meter, you'll see that this says close. That essentially means that today's price relative to its most recent sales is lower, but not like incredibly lower. So it's enough that we want to show you. And then also there has to be one other really positive indicator that this could be a profitable book, and that is under supply meter here. You can see that this is in short supply. So if we were to look at this graph, you can see how recently this offer count started to take a dive, which is a good sign. Victor, you can actually see that the sales rank is starting to get really low, which is interesting because it actually doesn't look like this book generally has a May textbook season, but it's still, for whatever reason, starting to sell really well this year. And I think that's going to bode really well coming up for August, September. What do you think?
Yeah, and it's really odd to find a college textbook that is actually diving as far as the used offer count in May like this. So I'm happy that BookMine bought this book up. And yeah, seeing that type of pattern is really cool.
Yep. And so, this was just a random book that we decided to look at. Remember that the used price here, Victor, is going to give us the all-in price, $24.50. Now we can see that this book in August, September of the previous year, it did get up as high as 65 at the lowest used price. There were definitely some sales wing drops there. At the tail end, we had a few sales over here where the sales wing drop looks like maybe 3 times in the 50s. And then you can see in January it was holding at least 40. Now, remember that also the buy box used prices can obviously be much higher as well. And you can see that even going into the season, right, the buy box price often is higher than the low seas price. Even when it kind of dipped back down in the middle of the season to the 36s, the buy box is still holding in the 50s and 60s. So I don't know about you, Victor. This is a book that if we were buying for $24.50, I'm thinking of trying to sell it for in the high 40s to low 50s kind of a thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking in the 50s just because the used offer count is kind of diving already.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be able to get in the mid 50s, matter of fact,
Yeah.
because of the used offer count kind of diving here at the last few weeks.
Yeah, and the really great thing about this is that the buy box is already at $65, which is kind of higher than what our target price would be. And the reason why that's so good is if you come on the listing at a target price of maybe the upper 40s or mid 50s, you would definitely have the buy box there because you're the cheaper price. But already a book that looks pretty decent. Now, there's a lot of ways that you could try to find college books that certain criteria you're looking for. For example, a lot of people maybe want to find the cheaper college books because you don't got, you maybe don't have a ton of capital. And so, Victor, what's something we could easily do within this sort of 716 books that are,
Yeah,
college books
first off,
on
we're
it?
we're already starting off with 716 books. There's plenty of books out there.
Right.
But if you really want to go for books that are like, say, a little bit cheaper, you can go to the top and use the use price slider and slide that over to whatever price range you're trying to look for. At this case, maybe 1 to 15, 1 to
Yep.
20,
Yep.
somewhere around there. Okay, so
Yep.
we did 1 to 15, and we
Yep.
there's 240 books there.
Yeah, and this one right off the bat looks great to me. I can already see that the used price just dropped actually to a price that's significantly lower than it looks like it's ever been this year, which is a great sign. And going back, on this keep a snapshot, you can again see how well the sales rank improved during those two key times where we mentioned is the stereotypical textbook season.
Mhm.
And you can see also the sales rank and also the used price. So I'm gonna open that up on Keepa as well, and we're gonna see what's going on. So again, this $13 is going to be the all-in ship price, and it's gonna be a good price. So it is a little bit lower than the other one was relative to past historical sales, which is good. And this is getting up in the 50s, right? I mean,
Wow.
this looks like a pretty much like a no-brainer. We still gotta go the extra mile, right? We can't actually buy the book for you, but I mean, this is an amazing book that BookMine just found for you. I mean, look at this book's history. It's actually, I don't think, ever been lower than this, maybe ever. I don't think it's ever been lower. If we come down to statistics, you can actually see it's the lowest was $8 yesterday. So
Wow.
that's incredible, right? That's a
Yeah.
pretty awesome book. And let's see, yeah, $10 plus 3.99 shipping. Looks like, unfortunately, it's got maybe some coffee damage on it, but oftentimes you'll find, there'll be a couple of sellers who are here in a repricing war, and you often can pick up a good copy. But let's say we could have bought this copy for 14. I think what we said, Victor, is we're trying to sell in like the 40 to 50 range, right?
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
50.
I'd say 50 pretty conservatively. 100% ROI. I mean, amazing book. Definitely a book that's going to sell probably just this August, September. So,
Well, let's
um,
let's look at that other, copy. We're at $21.
yeah.
Even at 21, you're making a profit.
Yeah, exactly, right? Even at 21.96, you're still making a 50% ROI, which is still
Yep.
great. And also, not to mention, you could always click the eBay link here on BookMine to go see if there's any copies below that as well, which it looks like these are all mislabeled under the incorrect ISBN, which is why they're showing up. So fortunately, not anything there, but another great book. Now, what I like is you can pick up books for under $8. I mean, this is a book that's 781 shipped. It looks like it has maybe less of a pronounced season as, let's say, this one does. It kind of just sells more year round, but this looks to be selling in the 20s, 2025
Mhm.
pretty
Yep.
consistently. I think what we're just trying to show you is that there's tons of potential opportunity for you to look through books. I mean, here's one that gets really cheap in off season, really just pops off. Sells in the 50s, sells in the 30s. You can already see how that offer count is starting to dive down already. I mean, you can see how this is basically repeated every year. And a lot of times, Victor, people ask, "Well, Victor, how do I know that it's not going to stay at this price, 650?" And what would you tell people looking at the last 6 years that you think that this pattern is going to happen again?
It's pretty easy. Just look at the 4,317 days and see this, pattern repeat year in and year out. And why wouldn't the pattern again happen this next year? I think there's nothing difference between this year and last year, right?
Yeah.
The book is getting maybe a little bit older, but it's still going to have a lot of demand next year. So I wouldn't have any issue purchasing this book.
Yeah, you can just look at it in the last 3 years. You can say, right, because right now the purchase price, I think we said is $10.40, right? Has this
Mhm.
book ever been 10.40 in the past and sold for significantly higher? Yeah, 2021. You could have
Yeah.
bought it for 4 months under $8, then went up to the 40s. Then you could have bought it for 4 months here the next, in that same year, and then it went up to 30. Then you could have bought it for $8 there and it went up again. Then you could have bought $8 there and it went up. You could have bought it for $8 there and it went up to the 30s. And you could have bought $8 there and it went up to the 50s. So you're also seeing what is a great sign here with the used offer count that you're seeing as well over the last.
The used offer count is also following the same type of pattern. When the price goes up, also the used offer count also goes down.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's the same type of pattern year in and year out. So
And
yeah.
although it might be a little bit difficult to see if you kind of were to draw a point from the far left to the far right, it does kind of look like overall we're getting lower and lower every year. You can actually see in the most previous January season, we got to an off count of 3. Before that, we got to an off count of like maybe 4. Before that, we were an off count of 30, 18. So we're also getting to a lower offer count. And I
That's
think
really
also
positive too.
also, starting the year at a lower offer count, we were an offer count of 37 at this point in time last year. Now we're an offer count at 24. So what this means is we have less supply, but probably likely to have the same amount of demand. And that means prices are probably going to be just in line with what they were last year. So I'm thinking here, Victor, buy for 10, sell for 40. What do you
Mhm.
think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely sell for 40 there. And I think on this book, some people might ask us, why does this happen? Why do these spikes even happen on books like this? And I think you kind of have to understand like when the demand for a book like this is, right? It's right before the semester starts of school, right?
Right.
Of your college or the university you're going to.
Right.
Your professor gives you the book you need to go and purchase, and you go to Amazon and purchase the book. And that usually happens either at the very beginning of August or at the very beginning of January. And
Yep.
the rest of the year, nobody wants this book.
Yep.
There isn't people out there like, oh, let me go read a textbook that you should be reading in college, right?
Yeah,
So that's
exactly.
why majority of the year it's kind of a dead book, and that's why the
Yep.
prices kind of really drop. And
Yep.
this method really takes advantage of that.
Yep.
We're in a valley right now. It's a
Absolutely.
really great time to be purchasing college books, right? Because there isn't that demand. Go in there and purchase it at a dirt cheap price, and wait for this coming August.
Yep. And so we can always look at what sort of offers we have on the listing
Mhm.
and go from there. Like we've
Yeah.
got 10, yes, we got a couple acceptable copies in the tens. I wouldn't even let this person scare us because they have 12 copies on the listing, but they are a merchant fulfilled seller, meaning they're not going to be really good. They're like if there's any FBA sellers, those FBA sellers go win the buy box. So this isn't going to be a featured offer unless there's no FBA offers really. There are a couple of good copies. Even at 1130, this is a great buy. And what I would actually recommend, Victor, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts, is I would actually prefer to even spend a little bit more, like an extra dollar.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you would do this, but just to clear out the 3 FBA offers here, because I think that I could definitely sell. I probably wouldn't buy more than 3 copies of this book,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I think I could definitely clear out those 3 FBA copies and then send them into Amazon here. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, same thing. Buy the FBA. Basically, you're buying your competition, right?
Right.
So that those people won't be there in August, and the price will have risen by then.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
think about it this way. I could buy it for, let's say, 1038. I think there's a high chance we'll sell this for 45. I'm looking at a $16 profit, but then I have to wait for those other 3 FBA offers to sell out, which is very likely to happen anyways, even if I bought the lower copy. But spending an extra dollar on this book, we're still going to be making well over 100% ROI, and we just
Mhm.
make it more likely that we're going to be able to sell this book.
Yeah, higher
Now,
chances that we'll sell it for even a higher price.
yeah, and a lot
Yeah.
of you might be asking, why am I not incredibly worried about this merchant fulfilled seller having 12 copies? Because I mean, what we know here is that if you look at the Keeper graph, the used offer count is always taking a dip, right? And
Right.
that person only represents one used offer count. And I guarantee you that over the last 5 or 6 years, there have been multiple sellers that have had multiple copies, probably well more than 12 copies. And this is something that's still repeated year after year.
When I'm looking for a book that has a pressure point, like a college book that you need it by a certain date, or like
Right.
a high school book that you need it by a certain date, or Christmas when you need it by a certain time, that's when FBA really comes in handy.
Right.
And people are willing to spend up on those type of offers because they want to get FBA because they need that book within, a day or two, and they really, they're willing to spend 10, even 20%, $10 or $20 more for that book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, one way that you can take this even further is remember just by going down to $1 to $15 and
Mhm.
selecting college books, we've got 240 books. And guys and gals, I know you're thinking like, oh, only 240 books. Well, what BookMine did was take it from like 100 million books down to the ones that look most profitable. So what we're really trying to do is cut out the amount of time it would take you to find these books. Otherwise, you'd have to go through Keep Product Finder and you'd have to just manually like go through and cross out a large percentage of them to find a lot of these books. So we're trying to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, but you could even do even more. You could also go to, let's say, the supply meter and only look at stuff that's in short supply. And that would actually bring you down to just 10 books, Victor. And so imagine, Victor, if you did that every single day. I mean, remember that we update every hour, right? So there's going to be new books that showcase here. And this is just another opportunity. Hey, we're looking at books that are also in low offer count, which just gives us an even better opportunity to sell that book for a profit.
Basically, we just found 10 anomalies.
Yeah.
These books have dropped in price even though they're in short supply.
Yep.
So, these all 10 of them deserve at least go and check these books out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Purchasing and supply management here. So, I mean, we can see it's essentially $7.47 shipped. So,
Mhm.
super cheap. You can see how the offer count's already taking a dip. It was really at 20 about a month ago. Now it's down to 11, slightly lower than what it normally is at. You can see this has an awesome January textbook season. Interestingly, sold really well for the August September textbook season. They kind of tanked in price, but then recovered and then did well the next season. So this is something that you'd be looking to buy for 7, probably sell in the
And,
mid 20s.
and then look at the used offer count at the beginning of 365 days ago
Yep.
versus today. It's much lower.
Yes, it was
Yeah.
18 then. Now it's about 11, so it's
Yeah.
almost getting down to half, right? So another good potential buy. Now, always remember for college books, what Victor and I recommend is going over to the BookStrand counterfeit probability check before you even consider buying the book. I mean, do a little bit of preliminary research, like to make sure that you're actually interested in the book, then go check to make sure that it's not likely to be counterfeit. If it says unlikely, I would say that's a green light. You're way, way less likely to have issues with that sort of book. Now, if you input the ACE in and you get a very likely or highly likely, what would we do in that case?
Oh, don't buy the book.
Don't buy it, just move
We
on.
would just
Doesn't matter how good
quickly
it is.
pass it. Even if it's a really profitable book and you're like, wow, I can make like 50 bucks on it. Pass it. It's not worth it. It's not worth the
Yeah.
extra risk.
Absolutely. Now, one other thing that you could do here to go even a step further is let's say you want to look at the college textbooks that are selling the fastest. Well, what could we do, Victor, to easily show you the 240 books here that are under $15 that are on BookMine but are also selling the quickest?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked about this. Like, okay, I want to buy a book and then within 30 days, maybe even 60 days, have that book, sell. And so one of the fastest ways or easiest ways to do that is through the selling meter. Basically go up there and move the selling meter to a higher number, right? One's basically sell maybe once or twice a month. A 10 sells tons and tons of times every
Wow.
day. So
Right.
basically what we just moved to is from 5 to 10. This
Yeah.
should show you a ton of green drops.
Absolutely, and you can clearly see it on the Kiva graph how much,
Yeah.
how pronounced this textbook season is. What you'll come to realize is you'll see this stereotypical U shape in the sales rank, and so you're actually seeing that with a lot of these books, a stereotypical U shape. So again, I mean, look how insane this one is, Victor. I mean, this is as pronounced as you can get it, right?
Yeah.
You can see how low that sales rank gets here in August, September, and how low it gets here in January, February. Generally just sells really well normally outside the season as well. I mean, it's basically a sales rank under 300,000, under 400,000 the entire year. But you can see how these prices, like right now, you're getting down to the $6, $7 plus shipping. This is popping off in the mid 30s,
I mean,
even
this
up
is
to the high
so
30s.
easy to see, Joji.
Yeah.
It's like $10 now, and the book normally goes for like 40
Yeah.
in both August and January. This is a
And
no
it's like,
brainer.
and how do we know? I mean, you could go back any point in time and you can see how every single year, right? Every single season it's gone
Yeah.
down in price in the last season, up and up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And
Wow.
you can see how the offer count does the same thing, right? I can guarantee you, I mean, this book has been probably sitting here on BookMine for a couple of days because it's a little bit lower and, hasn't been that much of a change in offer count. We're not big enough, even with all our members, to really affect the market on a book like this. It's selling
Right.
so many times that this is a book that everyone could get on and make quite a bit of money on. So awesome
And
book
this is
there.
a book that if you can find 5 copies of it, buy 5 copies. I
Yep.
would probably buy even up to 10 copies of this book.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the sales rank supports it.
Right.
And so obviously you'd come here. It looks like 1179 is what we'd be looking for in terms of price. Let's kind of see what we got there. So a couple copies at these copies at 1179 would be good. I would say what we're looking for again is selling here in the upper 30s. So I'm thinking like maybe 37.99 there. We're looking at basically a 90% ROI.
Wow.
And I don't see how this doesn't sell for 37.99.
Yeah, I was about to say $40. So it's at
Yeah.
37.99. You're definitely going to sell it for 37.99. So
Yeah.
that's a 90% ROI.
Yeah.
And you can do that, like I said, 10 times. So
Yeah.
that's a good amount of money right there.
Yep, and obviously, you could go see if potentially you can find this on eBay as well, but a great book there. Alright, so the last thing that we're gonna do before we end the video is show you just another way you could source college books. So we're actually gonna, come up here and click the reset button just to go back to the default. Everything is just reset back to its normal setting. I'm gonna go to book type. I'm gonna go ahead and click college here, and the other thing I'm gonna do is now sort by BookMine score. So what we could do is actually move the score up to like, let's say, 8 to 10 or 7 to 10. There's only 9 books mine here, but what this is gonna show you are those books that have tons of really awesome features that in combination we think make this an awesome book. So those features are going to be, it's probably going to be a very low price relative to historical sales. It's probably going to be the lowest ever, or it's very low offer count, or the supply meter is showing that it should sell out pretty quickly.
Right.
So
There's
that's just
multiple reasons why these books are here.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, here's one great example. This is a book that's in normal supply. It's at $15. It looks like it was selling in the 70s in the last season. Tons of sales rank drops. It's also the lowest price ever. So what we'd recommend is, taking these strategies that we've showed you in this video and just going through those every day, right? There's plenty of other books that you can source using BookMine besides just college books and other features, which you'll see in future BookMine videos. But the point here is that if you show up and do the work every day, Victor, you're going to find books. When you agree?
Yep. Oh yeah, tons of books. Here are 9 just for you right here, just sitting here
Yeah.
to purchase. So yeah, you're gonna find a ton of books with BookMine.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, if you want to sign up for a free trial, free 10-day trial below. And we're really excited to help support you guys. So that's all we got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Go buy some college textbooks and flip them during the college textbook seasons. That's all we got for you guys today. See you guys in the next one, and